What do you mean? What do you fucking mean? What do you mean? Donald Trump and everybody else on the Republican side are quite literally saying this is the most imminent threat to America. These are the very same people, by the way, that turn around and go, oh, if you call out our fascist policies as fascist, that means you're trying to kill us. It's ridiculous. He said he's going to pull funding from New York. Let's get to the news stories of the day. Okay? I've already covered the Zohran stuff a little bit, and I will continue to cover the Zohran stuff. I don't know if I should get into the Dick Cheney shit right now or continue along with the Zohran, the Zomentum that's taking place. But it's Donald Trump also has become increasingly manic as the end of this campaign nears. You see more and more insanity from the people who from the people who weren't paying close attention. If you noticed, any Jewish person that votes for Zohran Mamdani, a proven self-professed Jew hater, is a stupid person. Now, obviously, you're saying 11 likes, he fell off, but this is like an immediate screen grab. Okay, calm down. It is one of the most insane things I've seen, okay? Deborah Messing is not an outlier of this sort. There are straight up people that are openly showcasing their mental deterioration on the timeline, folks. It is one of the most insane things I've ever seen. People are so shameless in the absence of any sort of social mechanism, in the absence of people saying, hey, man, maybe you shouldn't say that. You should think before you post. In this day and age where that kind of mental illness is rewarded, okay, in the absence of that kind of like social stigma, this kind of like social pushback, you're seeing more and more people openly showcase their mental illness on the timeline. One of the people that I think clocked this from afar is Mike Isaac. I talked about this on the Majority Report. Okay? Mike Isaac, a New York Times tech reporter, friend of the show, Mike Isaac, tweeted something about New York Post last night. He's just watching this stuff unfold from afar, right? And as someone in San Francisco that's watching this stuff unfold from afar, he said, as a California resident experiencing the Post Twitter coverage of this race over the past 6 months, it has been like watching a social media manager slowly descend into mania. Okay? He said this yesterday after the New York Post came out with their incredible reporting. Okay? A real banger. Another banger. This is sure to do it. How Zohran Mamdani's aloof wife, Rama Dawaji, quietly steered his campaign from behind the scenes. What the f*** are we doing? They're just openly leaning into like mania. And I think it's genuine. I'm not even kidding. I think Zohran is straight up breaking the brains of a lot of people who were obviously receptive to having their minds break. That's some weak shit, dog. Guys, you don't understand. What I'm talking about is not necessarily that this is a successful line of attack. What I'm talking about is the fact that the New York Post thinks this is a successful line of attack. That is where the insanity comes from. Do you not understand? Like, the more desperate these guys have become, the more insane they have become. And the more open they are about their insanity, the more they lean into QAnon-style thinking. Do you not understand? Like, the very fact that Michael Bloomberg spent $3.5 million posterizing your boy, okay, as though I was, like, responsible for 9/11 or some shit, in the last week leading up to this election is insanity. $3.5 million from Michael Bloomberg on that ad slot that runs more than like Capital One ads on television. An ad slot that is not even determined to be successful. An ad slot that is just so insane because it makes people go, who the f*** is this guy? Who the f*** is this guy? Zohran is doing to people's minds today what Obama did to them in 2008. Reactionaries can't help themselves. Yeah. This is a funny take on the New York Post piece from Jessica Burbank. It says, they saw one of the most successful campaigns in history and thought a woman must have done this. Very woke. Thank you, New York Post. On the one hand, I think it's funny. And I want to say, oh, it's great that these guys have nothing. So they're just like flinging shit, okay? They're just flinging shit at the wall, see what sticks. But also on the other hand, the very fact that this is like even remotely successful in actually getting the attention of like average American voters is terrifying, okay? It's terrifying to me because you have a completely unblemished track record for a young, dynamic guy who ran on an affordability message and hammered that in and was very charismatic, very personable, a person that everyone has been waiting for, right? A person that like everyone from New York City all the way to California, where liberal voters are like, that's the guy, that's what we needed. And yet there are still going to be tens of thousands of people that were duped and manipulated into voting against him. That is terrifying. That means people are infinitely more malleable, okay? That still means that we have a long way ahead. We have our work cut out for ourselves. Have you been asked for comment by any media outlets? And if so, have you intentionally held back to keep from feeding the bullshit? No. I think a lot of the very same media outlets that have written all these like glamorous profile pieces of myself have also been very cognizant of who and whose interest they serve. So they're just in a holding pattern at this point, from what I've seen, where they kind of moved in the direction of offering decent coverage to Zohran Mamdani, as opposed to like the unimaginably antagonistic coverage that they showed to Zohran Mamdani in the primaries. And we shall see. But it seems there's people reporting that there's bomb threats.
Concerning. And I think that it is an illustration of the attacks we're seeing on our democracy. Sometimes they're blatant and explicit in the manner of these bomb threats. And we have to understand this as part of the general approach the Trump administration has taken to trying to intimidate voters with baseless allegations of voter fraud as a means of trying to repress the voice of Americans across this country.
I don't know if he's going to get that question again today, but the general approach the Trump administration has taken to try and intimidate voters, unless we heard him incorrectly, what in the world is he talking about?
He is serving up a Kamala-sized...
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Donald Trump and everybody else on the Republican side are quite literally saying this is the most imminent threat to America, that he is going to do 9/11. There are literally actual congresspersons that are saying he's going to do 9/11, man. What do you mean? These are the very same people, by the way, that turn around and go, oh, if you call out our fascist policies as fascist, that means you're trying to kill us, okay? It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. He said he's going to pull funding from New York. Stephen Miller has endorsed Andrew Cuomo now. Another glaringly obvious example of the uniparty attitude against an anti-establishment candidate. And unfortunately, you're seeing this mania come from Wall Street Journal op-eds too. Yeah, Zohran Mamdani's victory will imperil Jews and embolden totalitarians everywhere in the world. If New York falls, the entire free world may again totter on its foundations, writes BHL, Bernard Henry Levy. Okay? And of course, you know, no disrespect to the French, I think he is. But of course, this is a guy who I think, if I'm thinking of the same guy, this is a literal pedophile, okay? The guy who wrote this Wall Street Journal op-ed is a straight up pedophile, okay? Yeah. Oh, look at the reply. Never mind. Did Levy refer to rape of a 13-year-old child as a youthful error or not? That's because in many ways, reactions differed little. There was Whoopi Goldberg, the American actress, claiming to find some difference between Mr. Polanski did and what she called rape. And there was Bernard Henry Levy, the French celebrity intellectual, allowing as how Mr. Polanski, 43 at the time, perhaps had committed a youthful error. 43, raping a 13-year-old, 43-year-old Roman Polanski, raping a 13-year-old, and the guy who wrote that piece on Zohran Mamdani said that it was a youthful error. Anyway, here's Stephen Miller endorsing.
As far as New York is concerned, as you've talked about, as we've said, unfortunately, the anti-Mamdani vote is being split between Cuomo and Sliwa. And President Trump tonight put out a statement being clear that if you vote for Sliwa, who's polling at about a third of where Cuomo is, you're just throwing your vote away. The anti-Mamdani vote, which is really the pro-New York City vote, the pro-America vote, needs to unite behind the leading candidate, and that's Andrew Cuomo. As far as New York is concerned, as you've talked about, as we've said, unfortunately, the anti-Mamdani vote is being split between Cuomo and Sliwa. And President Trump tonight...
Bitch. If there is no other reason, and you don't actually need another reason other than the good policies that Mamdani's platform represents, but if you were looking for any other reason, these are some of the worst shitheads that will suffer. Okay? These are some of the worst shitheads that are already losing their minds. Okay? Mask off, neo-Nazis. They will be crying delicious and salty tears if, inshallah, Zohran Mamdani wins the mayoral race. And he deserves to. Okay? He has run a hell of a campaign. And you all, many of you, played a role in this. Many of you knocked on doors. Many of you canvassed. Many of you spread the word. Got your immediate family members to be on board. Okay? There will be far-reaching positive consequences of this. Okay? Michael Lange says, with each passing second, I'm more bullish on Zohran Mamdani exceeding 55%. That was my lock. Manhattan and Brooklyn continue to turn out in droves with lines reported across base neighborhoods. We're pacing for a record number of votes. The vibes are screaming landslide. Did you see this?
Senator, the next mayor of New York City.
Hey! All right. How you doing, man?
How you doing?
All right. You're doing great, huh?
I'm doing better now.
What a politician!
I didn't know he was going to show up. He finally did show up.
All right, I'm going to be saying that you're inspiring the entire world. How's that?
Low pressure.
A little brush up. There's truth to it. No. There is a reason why the whole bloody world is watching this election.
He's right.
The story of this is not going to be the greatest thing we ever did was run this campaign.
This is why, listen, this is why, in spite of my criticisms for many on the left flank, okay, of the American Democratic Party, like, the reality of the matter is, these guys, they've shown up, they've given people the audacity of hope, okay? And that is the reason why people are so terrified. That's the reason why so many capital owners are losing their minds, okay? That's it. I know these guys are not, implementing the Marxist vanguard, the Marxist-Leninist vanguard that you believe is imminent, but you have to remember, these things take time, okay? Coalition building, movement building, it takes time. And it has to reflect the broader consciousness of the population. There is a reason why you have seen a sea of hate, a torrent of unrestrained hatred striking every avenue they can. This race does have global impact. Bro, you need to stop chastising and acting like you know more than anyone to your left flank. Today is a day of excitement, so I will not be hearing from any of you. Okay? Oh my God, just cover the election, you liberal. I'm not. It's hard. It's hard to shake my confidence, at least for the time being.
Can't be. That's going to be what we did after we won. So much of what is so difficult for so many in this moment is the feeling that they are merely subjects. This is a movement to change that.
For too long, my friends, freedom has belonged only to those who can afford to buy it. The oligarchs of New York, they do not want the equation to change. They will do everything they can to prevent their grip from weakening. The truth is as simple as it is non-negotiable. We are all allowed freedom. To rest, I'm gonna go to the place that's the best.
What's the point of having an idea if you don't believe that you could implement it? What is the point of our politics that is forever theoretical? And it will be difficult, there will be contradictions, but really it's about your will. The things that we can do, it is an immense opportunity to deliver things that transform working people's lives.
And on November 4th, that is exactly what we will tell the world. We can make City Hall a place where New Yorkers come to expect the future, not just failure.
You really inspired us. Stick up to the billionaires. Keep fighting the good fight.
I think that's the thing that I'm most proud of in this campaign, is not the successes, it's that we took so many swings. Because swinging is an example of being unsatisfied with the options that you currently see. It's an illustration of the fact that we have to build something more than this. That ethos that we need not wait for anyone else, it is an ethos that I hope that many will carry with them. I want this to be the moment where more than 90,000 people are transformed into New Yorkers who are taking actions in different parts of their own lives to create the world that we all deserve.
What do you hope all the volunteers do after the campaign?
And that they understand that this is part of a lifelong struggle, not an electoral one. You have joined a movement for the rest of your life. Now, however you want to be a part of that movement is your decision, just as long as you continue to be a part of it. They see themselves in this campaign. They see the arrogance that we have, that these ideals could apply to us too.
Let City Hall, with our compassion, our conviction, and our clarity, be the light that our city and our nation so desperately need. Our time has come, New York. Our time is now. Thank you very much.
This is really lame and anti-revolutionary, to be honest. Lamau, this isn't transformation law. He's a brand who's operating within the confines of existing structures. Yes. You're absolutely right. And he's sheepdogging all of the revolutionary leftists back to the Democratic Party. You're right. Good things are not possible. This is nihilism. This is that attitude that was just demonstrated right there is not reflected by a broader population. So it doesn't really matter necessarily. And I'm not going to take debate on this, but Sparkle's Cosmic Heart says, so much of this election is tied into Hasanabi's literal worldview and perception of politics, and his win is a big indication he was right. So chatters need to calm down. This is important to him, and a lot of us are in avoiding potentially more harmful actions in the future. There is a method for change here, okay, that has been demonstrated. And as someone who has experienced so much failure of this sort, to basically unlock the class consciousness within the base, to even give people the tools to communicate their desires, to give people some crumb of hope, a semblance of hope, in spite of the endless hurdles that are thrown in your way, okay? In spite of all of the forces of capital doing everything in its power to try and propagandize the population against the notion that better things are possible, okay? In spite of all of that, good organizing and good politics should be able to win out, okay? That is at the heart of the democratic process, even in a bourgeois democracy. This doesn't mean that a revolution will come from reforms, okay? I'm not saying that. A lot of you would rather look at any sort of incremental change in the positive direction as a negative thing. And I kind of understand where people are coming from because they've seen so much defeat. They've only known defeat. They've only experienced loss. They've only experienced an erosion of hope, okay? I understand where you're coming from. But what do I always say? You cannot succumb to nihilism. You have to maintain revolutionary optimism. And a part of that is taking a disciplined approach and then taking in the victories that you get along the way instead of casting them aside and saying, this doesn't matter. This doesn't mean anything. If it didn't mean anything, if it did not mean anything, why do you think all of the forces of capital are using every social tool they have at their disposal, eroding what remains of their political capital to go against this dude? They understand the danger of giving the working class a crumb of hope, but you don't. You think you're going to magically create the revolutionary vanguard in a country that is antagonistic to working class movements, that it has no class consciousness whatsoever. So stop. Okay? Take a deep breath. I understand why people are cynical. I get it. Okay? That is the reason why I'm restrained and not running around and you know, claiming victory before it happens. But in a country that is at the heart of empire, there will be no magical single-handed approach, like no magical antidote pill that everyone can take where they automatically become class conscious and rebuild the structures necessary to create pressure against capital, the forces of capital. Okay? We have nothing in this country. So no, I'm not going to attack those who are trying to build something, anything. Okay? And I hope that you guys will understand my position eventually.
The question for Get Out the Vote today is for my leftist friends who think that voting and participating in electoral politics, even on the local level, is a waste of time. Why is it important? And that have said, oh, you can't do anything because you've got to work with the Albany. What do you say to those people that we're trying to convince today that it is worth it to them to go out and vote in this election?
So I think the key would be that we're not asking everyone to become an electoralist. We're not asking everyone to say that the only way to change the city that we love is through the ballot box. What we are saying is this is 5, 10, 15 minutes of your time. This is one way to bring that future forward. And this is one way to actually tangibly cast your vote in support of a vision of a city that belongs to all of us. And then you can do all of the other organizing that is so critical to winning that future, whether you're organizing tenants, whether you're on the front lines of immigration advocacy, whatever it may be. We need every single way to win the future that we deserve.
Right. And we can go back to hating right after we vote.
Yeah, come on, please.
Go back.
Yeah. I think that you should not stop your criticism of Zohran Mamdani if he is elected, right? That's not what I'm saying at all. If you see something that he's doing that you don't consider to be appropriate, that you consider to be bad or wrong or antagonistic to the movement that you thought he represented, then it is appropriate for you to let your voice be heard. But you also must be cognizant as to why. You also must be cognizant as to why so many people despise this movement. Okay? Why are they so fearful if this movement does not represent even a fraction of change in the appropriate direction? Why? Why have they been so antagonistic? Why haven't they simply said, like, why hasn't Chuck Schumer come out and been like, I love Zohran Mamdani. He is running a campaign of affordability. Why did it take Hakeem Jeffries until the very last moment to say, oh, well, you know, he's all right, I guess? Why? Why is it that the Republican administration, under the guidance of Donald Trump, is actually lending support to someone like Andrew Cuomo. Why is that the case? We have to be more disciplined. We on the left have to be more disciplined. And if you can't find yourself to believe that someone is sincerely advancing the causes that you hold near and dear, then you can at the very least understand why those that are antagonistic are so loud in their response to someone like Zohran Mamdani, who I always say is basically just trying to do modest expansion of pre-existing constructs within our current governance, right? Rent freeze. It's happened before. Fast and free buses. Zohran himself has been able to advance this cause. Why is it that they're so mad about even just a modicum of change in the direction of the working class, like alleviating some of the pains that they experience? Why? Think for a moment. Why they did this to Bernie Sanders? After all, Bernie Sanders is a social fascist, right? Bernie Sanders is a Zionist. He's a social fascist. He doesn't represent change at all. Or at best, he wants to take the super profits that we are extracting from the global south and redistribute it back to the labor aristocracy, you might say. So why is it that there was a faucet, a torrent, an unlimited torrent of hatred launched against him? Perhaps it is because, especially since the Reagan era, but this predates the Reagan era as well, but especially since the Reagan era, the hegemonic neoliberalism has been able to so effectively destroy what remained of a semblance of hope for a better future for the working class, was so effectively silenced, so effectively quashed, destroyed, that even the most modest advancements, even the most marginal advancements in the positive direction for the working class, a campaign on pure affordability alone, receiving any sort of positive coverage, receiving any sort of success is considered terrifying. I have a lot of guests today. I haven't brought them on because I want to do my coverage. Okay, there are a lot of people that I was supposed to have on, but the reason why I haven't brought them on is because I want to be able to do the coverage, and it's hard to do it when I have guests here. Okay, so calm down. Talk the news, chill with the homies. Y'all are crazy. This is one of the, I would say this is, for me, one of the more important moments in my political advocacy, in my political commentary career.
Mamdani, he represents almost in a pure form the class struggle. You know, the famous line by Karl Marx in the beginning of the Communist Manifesto. The first line is, "The history of all hitherto existing society is the history of class struggles." The history of all hitherto existing societies is the history of class struggles. And we're seeing in the Mamdani campaign, it's clearing the air. You can't say a fellow named Mamdani is weak on race questions, ethnic questions, religious questions. It's not going to work. So it's a straight out class struggle. His campaign was just like Bernie's. Bernie's was about affordability, and that's Zohran Mamdani's about affordability. But in this case, you can't use any of the woke weapons against him because his name is Zohran Mamdani. He's clearly not a old white male, you know. So it's a clear-cut class struggle. They're very scared of it.
All right. I'm worried about Sliwa's chances today. Are the Sliwa heads cooked? Fear not. The proletarian vanguard will be strong today. The Sliwa heads, Curtis Sliwa heads, if you're in line, stay in line. Okay? Sliwa sweep is imminent. I swear the anti-woke stuff has cooked some brains. Yes, it absolutely has. Curtis Sliwa will be the cat czar. Do not worry. Here is a thread of Deborah Messing's insane racist crash out over Mamdani on Instagram. And I wanted to show you the purest distillation of mania. The Mamdani maniacs that have lost their mind. Speaking of which, you better have cast your ballot for Prop 50. I did. Before leaving Los Angeles, I did. Not that it's valid, but betting markets have Mamdani at 95%. Do not ever show me betting markets. In this broadcast, we stay away from, first of all, in an effort to instill Sharia, even before a potential Mamdani victory, I will tell you that gambling is haram, okay, number one. And number two, the betting markets. The betting markets can suck me from the back, okay? Gambling is haram, and if you do it, I will let the morality police know that you are engaging in this haram behavior, and they will throw you in prison. Do you understand me?
Want a sticker? Yeah, I have a question. Why do you guys like crime so much?
We don't like crime.
You don't? No? So no. How do you feel about the NYPD? Yeah, good. No. You like crime? You like radical Islam? You like terrorism? Do you fund the NYPD? No. Oh, you don't? You know that Zohran has tweeted multiple times about defunding the police. You want to defund the NYPD?
I do.
Yeah, you do? That's good. I'm so glad to hear that you hate this city.
Oh my God. Oh, amazing. Bro got the slightest whiff of power and went all authoritarian. Who's that? Me? Who we talking about?
Saving New York City from socialism? Oh. He's going to bankrupt this city. Good luck. You too. Have a fabulous day.
Oh, so awesome. So awesome. So amazing. All right, we'll get to Dick Cheney in a little bit. Let's continue with the Zomentum. Voters at the polls nationwide across the country. Let's take a look, ladies and gentlemen.
This morning, New York City may be on the cusp of choosing a 34-year-old self-described Democratic socialist with little political experience as its 111th mayor.
Zohran Mamdani is facing off against independent and former governor Andrew Cuomo and Republican Curtis Sliwa.
While his opponents see nothing but fault, Zohran Mamdani's focus on affordability and a savvy social media-driven campaign striking a chord with voters looking for a change.
We stand on the verge of ushering in a new day for our city.
Mamdani tried to show a common touch, more like New Yorkers than their politicians.
Poppy juice, how we doing?
Visiting a club.
Let's go Knicks! Let's go Knicks!
Watching the Knicks from the nosebleeds, a contrast to his chief rival, Andrew Cuomo, who sat with the current mayor courtside. Cuomo, lagging in the polls, is accusing Mamdani of trying to turn the home of capitalism socialist.
My opponent is a socialist and wants to make New York City a socialist city, and socialism has not worked anywhere on the globe.
At the 11th hour, an endorsement for Cuomo from President Trump, who posted, "You must vote for him and hope he does a fantastic job," and threatening to withhold federal funds from the city if Mamdani wins.
Overnight, Cuomo trying to distance himself from Trump's endorsement.
He's not endorsing me. He's opposing Mamdani.
Mamdani calling Cuomo the president's puppet.
They share the same small vision. They share the same sense of impunity.
Trump called in to campaign events for Republican candidates in Virginia and New Jersey, where a bitter race between Republican Jack Ciattarelli and Democrat Mikey Sherrill is barreling toward the finish line.
You need to go out and vote for Jack Ciattarelli, who's a great guy, a friend of mine.
The Trump-backed Ciattarelli hitting the trail with his son, who returned from serving overseas.
I could not be more excited. The energy up and down the state has been off the charts.
While Sherrill's trying to turn out key Democratic voters.
I believe that with all of you, New Jersey will continue to be a beacon of light and hope for people across the country, across the world, but certainly for people across New Jersey.
A year from the midterm elections. The elections today are an early test of what the country thinks of President Trump and his agenda. They're also a test, guys, for the Democratic Party and whether its future looks more like a moderate Mikey Sherrill or more like Zohran Mamdani. Guys?
Okay, Aaron, thanks. This is our Washington Bureau Chief Rick Klein, also our Chief White House Correspondent Mary Bruce.
I need you guys to understand something. Like, obviously, whoa, I'm getting blasted in the face. Although Zohran has not won yet, and hopefully, inshallah, he will, understand that there are those who are watching closely exactly what the margins will look like, and I can predict with absolute certainty exactly what the messaging is going to look like in the aftermath of this. They've already started. The centrist establishment Democrats have already started talking about, here, yeah, I'll let in the light of the divine, the heaven's mandate into this room. Centrist Democrats have already started talking about how, like, oh, Spanberger has a higher margin of victory than Zohran Mamdani, all this stuff. And they are going to make idiotic comparisons as though we haven't been paying close attention. And many people have not been paying close attention to what's going on in this race. So they have no idea the metric ton of shit that the Mamdani campaign had to deal with, and the very fact that there was a spoiler with a dynastic name still, right, that was running as a real Democrat, even though he was running as an independent. Central Committee says, my official prediction was 56% yesterday with a range of 52 to 60. Reports on the ground reflected the polls missed again, and I think we may be entering landslide territory, but we need to see the early votes before we relax too much. I've read the Michael Lang analysis. I understand where people are coming from. I will not say anything. I already gave you my prediction. I said somewhere in the 55 range, and that the surprising vote would be from the 55 plus category that a lot of people think is supposed to go in Cuomo's direction. But then again, we shall see. I am not going to say anything. I am just saying I'm hoping and I'm praying. There's never been, I'm not exactly a very spiritual person, but I will say that I have been praying to whatever deity is out there. Okay? That's it. I have not, this shit got me praying to gods, hoping that anyone will listen. Okay? Oh my God. Have you been this emotionally invested in a campaign in years? I haven't. Last time I felt this, I don't want to bring it up. I don't even want to talk about it, but I mean, both Bernie campaigns, especially the moment of hope and optimism that I felt, that I know many of your favorite content creators and podcasters and activists and advocates alike felt in the aftermath of Bernie Sanders's upset victory. That wasn't really an upset if you actually saw the reality on the ground in 2020 in Vegas. But once again, what came after that was something that we all know very well, which is precisely the reason why I will stay the course. I will stay the course, and I will be restrained until the very last moment. Okay? That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, as far as analysis goes, you will see some of the absolute worst, some of the most annoying centrist analysis coming out in the aftermath of this, whichever direction it goes. Okay? God forbid there is a defeat here. They will greatly overemphasize how resounding the voters denied the socialist momentum. If there is a victory, no matter what the margin is, if the margin is above 60%, right? Unlikely, but let's say it's 60% territory. They will say, oh, it's New York. Of course they voted for a socialist. If it's anything, if it's anything in the 5-point range, they will say, look at the tiny sliver that Zohran got. He does not have the popular mandate that he barely eked out a victory here. He barely squeezed the victory here. They will deny the unlimited money that was dumped into this campaign and the electioneering that took place. Okay? I'm just letting you guys know ahead of time. I have thought of all of the alternatives and I have seen it. They will say, they will try to match what Zohran's election looks like with Omar Fateh. They will make comparisons, even though these are not comparable in the same way, right? Depending on whichever way the Minneapolis vote goes for mayor. And they will do everything they can. They'll tell you what works in New York won't work everywhere else, okay? They will say that. It's all bullshit. Yeah, Edward Isaac Dover, by the way, did this already. If polls hold, Spanberger's looking more likely to clear 50% in a more swingy state than Mamdani is in a city so Democratic that only 6 out of 51 city council members are Republicans. Dems nationally say that matters a lot for thinking what comes next. Even Dan Pfeiffer, the Podjons are up Edward Isaac Dover's ass. Okay? I'm not sure the answer to what comes next will be found in these results, but that's an absurd standard since Zohran Mamdani is running in a three-way race that includes another Dem. They've already started. They've already started with the sinister bullshit. Okay? And we haven't even seen the results yet. And they've already started with this nonsensical bullshit. Michael Lange, with each passing second, I'm more bullish on Zohran Mamdani exceeding 55%. Inshallah, inshallah, inshallah. Manhattan. Allah Nazar Dansak, listen. Manhattan and Brooklyn continue to turn out in droves with lines reported across base neighborhoods. We're pacing a record number of votes. The vibes are screaming landslide. Okay? This person did a literal district by district analysis, and he sees the same day voting that took place as an indication that like it's actually better than his predicted results. He did a block by block voter analysis, and his initial predictions showed 52% for Zohran, and it seems it might even outperform that. Anyway, can we not say this is not a referendum on Dem leadership? Would the Dems be fighting to barely stop the Republicans in Congress if the Zohran race was not happening? I think that there is definitely a push in the right direction. What? Red alert. White House prepares to issue executive orders on upcoming elections. I think we should care about the person with the highest percentage. Michelle Wu, momentum, let's go. I don't know what the that means. And let me tell you, I'm not excited to find out. Oh, I don't know where the source of that statement is. Anyway, let's look at the analysis, key races to watch.
And Rick, let me begin with you. We're watching a key governor's race in Virginia.
Yes, we will know the results of New York tonight. We will know the results of New York tonight, immediately after the polls close, which is going to be at, I think we will know by 9 p.m., like a little after 9 p.m. my time, 9 p.m. In the next 4 hours or so, less than 4 hours, 3 hours and 30 minutes. Hannity et al. Has been talking all day about Zohran being listed twice on the ballot, Cuomo being low, early voting, etc. They're calling for mass reform. Oh, Trump threatens legal action against mail voting in California redistricting election. Nice. Of course. Of course he's doing that. All right, let's continue.
Voting in California, also key race in New Jersey.
Yeah, good morning, George. The only other state other than New Jersey that is electing a governor this year is Virginia. Polls show the Democrat Abigail Spanberger leading the Republican Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl-Sears consistently.
Sorry, 4 hours and 30 minutes. 4 hours and 30 minutes.
A Democratic win there would not be a surprise. Virginia's been trending blue, and in governor's races, the state almost always votes against the party in the White House. Guys?
All right, but let's talk about California, what we're seeing there on the ballot is the issue of congressional districts. What can you say about that?
Yeah, that's right, Robin. Voters in California are being asked to approve a new map for congressional districts. This is the latest in what's become an unusual redistricting war.
Are you going to cover the Zohran watch party, or are you covering it all here in your room? I will be going to the Zohran election party. I will be going there, and I will be live streaming it. Okay? Why don't we talk about Virginia and New Jersey? I will. I've talked about Virginia, not so much about New Jersey, but I will be talking about them right now.
Right here in the middle of the decade, Governor Gavin Newsom pushed a plan to squeeze as many as 5 additional Democratic seats out of the state, and this could be the result, a House map that is bluer than ever. Now, Newsom has cast this as an answer to what Trump and Republicans have been doing for months now. These are the states that are either trying to pass or have already passed new congressional maps this year. The dark red ones are the ones where Republicans have already put new maps into effect. And even if California's law passes today, Republicans are likely to end up with a few more seats out of these new districts when all is said and done, going into a year where the balance of power in Congress could hardly be tighter.
No question about it, Mary. That California race, of course, matters to President Trump. The Democrats in Virginia and New Jersey have also made him the central issue.
George, the president is well aware that 1 year after he returned back to the White House, this is the first major test of how voters feel about what the president has done in office over the last 9 months. He knows that these results will be seen as either a repudiation or a stamp of approval of his administration, and that the economy and affordability are the central issues for so many. The president and his policies have loomed large over all of these races. Trump is featured heavily in ads and on these debate stages. We've seen Democrats slamming his record, Republicans embracing the president, but also trying not to dismiss those very real concerns about the economy and rising costs. And the president notably has not been out campaigning in person. Instead, he's relied heavily on social media and these tele-rallies that Aaron mentioned to get out his message. And of course, the stakes are tremendously high for Democrats as well in their strategy to take on Trump, to oppose this administration and the divisions within their own party as we barrel toward the midterms, George.
Mary Bruce, thanks.
And let's turn to our man at the big board here, NBC News chief data analyst Steve Kornacki. Political nerds love this off-year election. It's our first glimpse potentially at how the electorate is feeling. So where in those seats that we just talked about, where do things stand?
Yeah, let's take a look. Start in Virginia. The polls will close there first tonight. And you've got Abigail Spanberger against the lieutenant governor here. It would be an upset tonight if this race is won by Earl Sears. She has trailed significantly in the polling. You do see this is a blue state. Kamala Harris won this last year over Donald Trump by just under 6 points. One thing we're keeping an eye on, by the way, just outside, excuse me there, Savannah, just outside Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia, federal employees in the shutdown. What effect is that having on this race? In New Jersey, this is the one tonight Republicans think they have a shot at. Jack Ciattarelli ran 4 years ago.
Not gonna lie, Holy Toledo guy kind of stole Kornacki's flow. I low-key agree with you. I do. I think Kornacki has also been like kind of odd with the way that he has, he's been kind of, Harry Emden has kind of taken over, more dynamic. And I think that Kornacki is a little bit washed, I'm not going to lie, because he's been so restrained. Like, Holy Toledo reads the room a little bit better. I know that, I'm sure that he wasn't super on board with the Zomentum initially, but he's been much more, he's much less reluctant to shit on him. Whereas Steve Kornacki used to be my GOAT, but everything that I've seen from him has been almost like an endless sequence of you being like, well, here's how Zohran could lose still.
Governor nearly beat Phil Murphy. He's currently the incumbent. The polling has put Mikey Sherrill ahead, but much closer than Virginia. This race tonight is going to hinge on a very particular type of voter. They are voters who don't like Donald Trump, but 4 years ago, they were willing to vote for Ciattarelli. With Trump back in the White House, can he still win those voters over? He needs to have a chance tonight. And of course, this New York City.
Dude, it's so funny. Why won't you talk about New Jersey or V8? Brother, we're literally looking at New Jersey. Like, while you're typing that, while you are typing that question, it straight up is talking about the New Jersey governor race. Like, just look here, open your ears, open your eyes, please, chatters.
He needs to have a chance tonight. And of course, this New York City, biggest city in the country, high profile race, certainly. Zohran Mamdani, who defeated Andrew Cuomo in the Democratic primary by 12 points. Cuomo running as an independent, Curtis Sliwa, the Republican. The polling has put Mamdani ahead, thanks in no small part to the fact that the opposition to him is split between these two candidates.
And perhaps why Donald Trump was weighing in last night, signaling to Republicans to vote for Cuomo in that race. Let's talk about some of the issues that people are focused on. We've got a recent NBC News poll.
Yeah, we came out with one on Sunday to sort of set the playing field for this week. And here you go. This is Donald Trump. We asked voters, is he living up or is he falling short of expectations?
Ooh, goddamn. There's a whole lot of red, baby. That is not looking good. Not looking good at all. Where does this movement go? A movement that has no popular base. A movement that has no popular mandate, never had a popular mandate, that has gotten increasingly less popular. Will it reach, depending on how mistreated the working class is, especially considering that he ran on affordability, won on affordability, did not actually deliver on affordability. Will the American independents and the American working class that I'm tweaking the dials, don't worry. Will the American independents and the American working class that saw that recognizes their material conditions not changing but worsening, as a matter of fact, will they actually respond negatively? We shall see. I am from Germany. This election means so much to me. The leftist world is watching. Yes. Yes. Guys, one of the most the people don't understand this, okay? There is, or we must build international solidarity. Okay, we must build international solidarity. This is something that I recognize. This is something that I understand. This is something that I advocate for. It is crucial. Okay, it is crucial to build a working class movement. And that is the reason why I travel the world and I go and I talk to people that do represent similar values in their respective nations. Okay, whether it be France on Bowed, or whether it be the Green Party, or even your party as well, Corbyn, like, whether it be working with groups like Progressive International, like there are people all around the world, including in Western liberal capitalist democracies, that recognize that liberalism is failing, and they look to the United States of America, the heart of empire, and the heart of capitalism, which is where the financial capital of the world is, and they look at this race. And they want to be excited. They want to hold on to hope that change might be coming. Some kind of change might be coming. Now, it might not be the most consequential change. And God knows it's going to be quite difficult to implement even the most modest of reforms. But yes, this is an inspirational candidacy. This is an inspirational campaign for so many people. There are probably more chatters from all around the world watching today than ever before. And a lot of Americans, I think, refuse to recognize that. And it's like it feels like it's almost selfish, where you're just like looking at this moment of hope, and you just go, it's not good enough for me. It's like, it blows my mind. It blows my mind, really. In any case, let's continue with the horrifying numbers of Donald Trump.
Wanted to highlight this because these marks, I think, 34, 33, 30% say he's living up when it comes to the economy, looking out for the middle class, inflation, cost of living. These are issues people say are top of mind for them. These are issues where he fared pretty well in his first term, and we really see his numbers dropping in this second term. And what that also has led to for Trump is an approval rating overall of just 43%. That typically has spelled problems for candidates in a president's party when a president reaches that level.
All right, Steve Kornacki, thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC, or take Today.
New Yorkers are spending a lot of their time talking about one man. Who are you voting for?
Definitely for Mamdani.
Yeah, Mamdani.
And you're excited about him?
Yes, absolutely. Everybody excited.
Well, not everyone.
He's a radical. He's a radical leftist. He's a radical leftist.
It's just fear-mongering.
So who is he?
Socialism.
This is my brother. This is my favorite. This is that guy that you just saw is like, he's a radical. He's a socialist. That is my favorite type of guy, okay? There are so many guys like that, man. Oh, God. It's just so funny that you got so many insane hogs out in the wild, and we really unleashed them. We are leaning into our hog-like tendencies, man.
A self-declared democratic socialist who has stormed into the lead in the race to become New York mayor using viral...
I'm not saying you're single-handedly responsible for Zohran being elected, but how do you feel about the possibility your interview with him early on was a small, highly consequential domino that led to this point? We all play a role in this. You all play a role in this. It's not the interview that I did with Zohran that's consequential. It's the fact that there are members of this community that were primed, that were excited at the prospect of joining a campaign that was so hopeful, joining a campaign that was built around and centered around affordability, okay? It is the New York DSA, it's the Working Families Party. There are so many people that played a significant role in this happening, okay? I did nothing. I am nothing without you, okay? I am nothing without my community. This is, and Zohran is nothing without all of the people that played a formative role in his campaign as well. That's how this works. That is how this works. Okay? All you did was hang out and eat donuts. Exactly. Wouldn't do shit. Bro poured cold water into his coffee. Okay, let's not blow his head up too much. I wouldn't have been a leftist if it weren't for Hasan, and I was a Zohran canvasser back in the primary. Exactly. But once again, you did it. Okay? You did it. Because if it wasn't for all of you that actually go out and take the things that we're talking about, the things that we're communicating, and put it into motion, then we go nowhere. Then I'm just a random dickhead who is yelling into the void. Okay? That's it. That's it. That's why I can't believe the amount of attention that I've gotten from all of the haters and losers, the billionaires and the millionaires that have put the crosshairs on your boy. Because I'm inconsequential. You know, I am utterly inconsequential. I'm nothing. There will be someone else who will fill this void one day. It is the momentum. It is the people. That's what makes the difference. It's the people who dream of a better future and say, you know what, F it, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take a shot in the dark. Because the reality of the matter is, nobody thought, even Zohran himself did not think that he would get to this point, I don't think. I mean, obviously that was the goal, but it would not have happened. It would not have happened without all of the people that have put so much work into turning him into a vessel for change, a vessel for positive change. The bullet that shoots down capitalism would not fire if every grain of gunpowder did not do its part. Yes. You claim to be inconsequential, yet you single-handedly caused Kamala's defeat. Yeah, I'll entertain that more, depending on the results of tonight, okay? I don't like other people telling me what's anti-Semitic. Zach Cady, 37, who brought his 2 children to vote when he cast his vote for Zohran Mamdani outside the Met on Saturday. As a Jewish family, I find Cuomo's position offensive and patronizing, he said. Criticism of Israel is not anti-Semitic. Whoo! Smoke him. The why does Mamdani obsess over Israel talking point would always be sleazy and bad faith, but it's especially so when his primary competition decided himself unilaterally and apropos of nothing to volunteer for Netanyahu's war crime defense. Like either it's a thing or it's not. Yeah, I can't believe that they tried to do that, by the way. You say you're nothing, but thanks to you, I'm even more annoying than I was before. I didn't think that was possible. I mean, I'm just a regular ass dude, okay? I'm an immensely fortunate, immensely privileged person who recognizes their privilege, who tries to do the most with the crumb of influence that I have. But I always stress this importance to all of you. I always tell you, what do I always say? If it wasn't for this community, if you guys weren't in here right now, a terrorist. Yes, exactly. I'm just a modest terrorist, okay? But if it wasn't for all of you that go out and knock on doors, if it wasn't for all of you that go out and unionize your workplace, if it wasn't for all of you that go out and organize in your communities, then I would just be one guy yelling into the void regardless. I'd be yelling about this. I still be yelling, but I'd be yelling to a much smaller audience, the same exact shit that I'm yelling as I was many years prior to this level of unprecedented success that I saw in this field that I never thought I would actually see any success in. You showed this before, but a canvassing lead in your hoodie? Yeah, I know. Yeah, we got Hasanabi has his like canvassing leads in there. It's just like, that's the thing that I'm most proud of. I'm most proud of this community.
Primary after months of door knocking. And in order to get all this stuff passed, like, it's really important that we win with a mandate on November 4th. I was Lola's first field lead.
Yeah, she got the John Brown on deck.
And I've gotten to watch her grow from being like a canvasser to becoming a lead, and I've watched her get her GED, and I've been so proud of her.
Oh, this is my first time canvassing, so.
Awesome. Do you have a Zetro card?
I don't, thank you.
I grew up in rent-stabilized housing. A private equity firm bought up the community that I called home for 18 years.
I'm a psychiatrist. I want the city to be safe and affordable for me and for my patients.
My labor organizer grandfather was like, your shoes aren't on the pavement. What are you doing? Let's go.
Born in Jerusalem. My grandparents are Holocaust survivors. It's been super frustrating to watch people attack Zohran with a lot of Islamophobia, supposedly on my behalf. Election's coming up November 4th, so I owe it to him to come out here and canvass to help combat the mythology here.
The Upper East Side is often like classified as a place only for the wealthy. People thought this was like a Cuomo heavy stronghold. There's a lot of support up here, and this is what's going to make the difference.
I'm retired. I used to work as an investment manager. I've lived in the city for 45 years, so this is home to me, and I want to see changes.
At all, I don't think we would have met naturally at all.
Yeah.
Outside of the campaign, I don't live on the Upper East Side. I live in East Harlem, and I'm very much looking forward to having a Department of Community Safety. To get to watch her go to college next year will be like an amazing thing.
Zohran's campaign is all around affordability and how we can have a city that's for everyone.
Zohran. Harry Enton and Ben Shabibo on CNN tonight. Ew, Ben Shabibo. What the what the is CNN doing, man? What the is CNN doing, brother? What the heliante? Oh, God. All right, let's get back to this. God damn. Yuck.
Says New York is the greatest city
Gross.
But what good is that if no one can afford to live here?
And the ability to speak 5 languages, to woo minority voters, and heading out clubbing last weekend to reach the young. As New York City woke up this polling day, the prospect of Mayor Mamdani was upsetting old-school Democrats and Donald Trump.
I'd prefer not to have a communist mayor of New York City.
Last night, the president told Republicans to try to stop Mamdani by voting for another Democrat, his opponent Andrew Cuomo, running as an independent. But Mamdani cast his ballot in Queens this morning as the clear favourite. Earlier in the campaign, he travelled across the same borough to Hillside Avenue, where an interesting phenomenon is taking place. And how did you vote last year in the presidential election?
Yeah, I voted to Trump last year, you know.
And your family voted for Trump as well?
Yes, also.
Working class, minority voters shifted strikingly towards Donald Trump, like lifelong Democrat Major Hussein. And now,
Mamdani, you know.
A head-spinning shift from an ultra-conservative to a socialist.
Yeah.
How do you jump from Donald Trump to Zohran Mamdani?
The people who are vote for Donald Trump, it's nothing with the party line. It is more of current world situation line.
A current situation in which New Yorkers are feeling...
Man, I'm in Oklahoma, gross, at a very conservative college, so thank you for giving me the space to spend my time. Even if I have to turn my volume down. For the record, places like Oklahoma, which, by the way, Bernie Sanders did win in the Democrat primary twice, are perfect places to start organizing in, okay? A lot of people, I think, unfairly cast aside these people that the Democratic Party has left behind because of the current style of polarization that exists in American politics. These are places that have the same exact struggles, if not have those struggles represented far worse than places like big cities. Okay? The idea that you cannot convince your neighbors, if you live in a red area, if you live in a red state, if you can't organize around the issues that are important to your neighbors is silly, okay? Because these are places that are objectively forgotten by both parties, really. They just kind of rely on culture war to swing the votes, and they do successfully swing those votes with the culture war narratives and whatnot. But the antidote to that culture war posturing is a campaign that centers around affordability, the Zohmentum, if you will, adjusted to the immediate needs of your neighbors, adjusted to the immediate needs of your local population. I do believe that the heartland and places like Oklahoma are perfect environments to organize, especially because the Democrats have kind of left them behind. So you don't necessarily have that same infrastructure, but that means you don't have that same friction as well. When affordability or material issues are never called into question, when they're never a prominent part of either campaign, whether it be the Democrats or the Republicans, then yes, of course, people just lean into their reactionary feelings, their fears, and end up voting alongside the culture war narratives. Democrats will always lose on the culture war. It's a much more comfortable narrative to just be like, yeah, everyone you don't know is terrifying, especially given how segmented and segregated the American population is, especially in rural areas. Okay? People fear what they do not know. There's a reason why it doesn't work the same in urban environments, because you are literally slammed with diversity everywhere you go. So you kind of realize that, you know, a black person or a brown person is no different than you, right? That's the reason why cities, big cities, are oftentimes blue, because they're like, well, yeah, these guys are running on racism, and I know what my neighbor is like. He's awesome, right? That's just how it is. Oh, I just realized I have another light that I can turn on in here.
Feeling the pain of economic insecurity.
Hold on.
Zohran Mamdani.
Mamdani?
Mamdani.
Why? Tell me why.
Because the city right now is a mess. And the food price is going up.
Zohran Mamdani's victory in the primary election stunned New York. He appeared to come out of nowhere and defeat the state's former governor, Andrew Cuomo. But Cuomo didn't go quietly. He came back and he is now taking on Mamdani as an independent in a...
Does it look better? It looks better, right? It looks much better now with the light on. Chair looks uncomfy, Law. It is. It is very uncomfortable. But I want it. This is the most Wes Anderson I've ever looked, I realize. Like my background. This is a very Wes Andersonian ass backdrop here that I got going on. He's purple for an amazing reason. Wait, what? Do I look purple? What the hell? The shirt is from the new merch drop, yes. Once again, ideology.shop, ladies and gentlemen. Ideology.shop for union-made, American-made. Wait, where the is this? Oh. What about now? How about now? Am I orange for an amazing reason now? Much better? Or is it too warm? This is the best, I think. Hideology.shop? Well, I'm selling Kojima merch, yeah.
That embodies a struggle taking place inside the Democratic Party.
Supporters say Mamdani's radical policy offer of rent freezes, subsidised childcare and free bus fares are exactly what Democrats need to take on Trump. Critics ask, what about the price tag? And say socialism might appeal in New York, but not in critical swing states.
I think Mr. Mamdani is divisive.
No, I don't think it's divisive at all. I think
Take this argument between Democrats on Manhattan's M86 bus over raising taxes to pay for it all.
People vote with their feet, and people are going to leave the city. The tax base is going to disappear.
The 1% pay a little bit more so that everybody...
By the way, all of this is bullshit. I can't stress this enough. No, the fuck they won't. Okay? They will not. The idea that the tax base is going to leave the city is utter nonsense. Okay? I cannot stress this enough. It is complete bullshit. Okay? Oh, everyone's going to leave the city. 1 million New Yorkers are going to leave the city. Suck my dick. No, the fuck they're not. And you want to know why they're not? Because it's New York City. It's already more expensive than all these other places. And people still choose to live here. Okay? The idea that like an additional increase in their costs for the super wealthy, even if like Albany was able to pull it off, even if Zohran was able to like convince Albany to engage in some sort of like wealth tax, that was going to be enough for people to do a mass exodus out of New York. Bullshit. They already pay. They already pay more. They already pay more to live here. They already pay a higher percentage of taxes to live here. Shut the fuck up. Why don't they already live in Florida? If anything, this will unironically make New York better overall for even the wealthiest people, because now you can actually have the proper workers necessary to keep the city ticking, okay? It will just improve everyone's lives. That's the other thing that people don't understand. Like, even for the wealthy people, it's like making New York more affordable for the working class is a good thing for everyone, okay? God damn. The Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers, by the way. The reason why I keep getting the gray bars over and over again is because I've been getting peppered with the gifts.
Paying more. They're already paying more. I'm not in that category. No, I wish I were.
So why don't you want them to pay more so that all of us can have better health care, better lives?
Perhaps most divisive for these two Jewish voters has been Mamdani's ferocious criticism of Israel.
I'm a supporter of Israel, and I believe that Israel was fighting for their lives.
Are you scared of his election?
Yes, I'm very scared.
I think there's a lot of unfounded fears that are being stoked by people on the right, trying to make Jews feel that he's anti-Semitic, which is utterly ridiculous.
On the eve of the election, Trump threatened to withhold federal funds from New York if Mamdani is elected.
I will address that threat for what it is. It is a threat. It is not the law. And too often we treat everything that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth as if it is already legal just by virtue of who is saying it.
The anger here was not just directed at Trump, but Democrats too.
Are you disappointed that some senior members of the party are not endorsing Zohran Mamdani?
Yeah, I think that it is time for elected officials and politicians to grow a pair of balls and have some courage and stand up for something. We are tired of people who won't stand up to Donald Trump.
Do Donald Trump's threats make you angry?
If Mamdani wins tonight, the message from Democrats in New York is they want a new direction against Donald Trump's MAGA movement. But there is huge disagreement over whether this radical shift will work elsewhere in America.
Election Day 2025 is finally here. Polls are now open across the tri-state area, with people casting their ballots in key races. The city's highly watched mayoral race is one of the most anticipated races in the country, even garnering the attention of the president. We have a team of reporters working all angles. Christina Fan is in New Jersey with more on the race for governor. And Tim McNicholas is looking into some threats made at polling places in the Garden State. But we start with Elijah Westbrook and a look at the race for New York City mayor. Elijah.
That's right. Good afternoon to you, Cindy. Well, as you know, the polls have been open since 6 o'clock this morning, and I have to say there has been a pretty steady flow of voters showing up specifically at this polling location right here in Rego Park, Queens. The ones that we had the chance to talk to say that they are looking forward to change in City Hall. Of course, this as the candidate.
As a Jewish chatter, I can say those two Jews arguing on the bus is the most Jewish New Yorker thing ever. Yeah. I know. What's the thing? What's the trope? It's 2 Jews, 3 opinions. That's why it's also kind of funny where they're like, there's this notion of monolithic understanding amongst the 2 Jews, 3 opinions. And it's like the idea that there is this like monolithic force amongst the American Jewish voter base is so funny. Another 100 gifted. God damn, 100 bones. Listen, as I always like to say, if Jews were a monolith, okay, there wouldn't be need for an endless amount of propaganda. Okay? If Jews were a monolithic force, for example, Jonathan Greenblatt wouldn't be spending all his time yelling about me as opposed to like actual anti-Semites. The reason why he yells about me is because I'm the one who's convincing his nieces and nephews that Israel ain't shit. Or at least I'm one of those people. He knows Nick Fuentes can't do that. Can't wait to see the clip chimps taking all this out of context. Yeah, they can suck me today, okay?
Are making their final push. At this polling location here in Rego Park, Queens, voters filed in steadily throughout the morning.
You're an American, you live here, vote.
I think it's very important. I mean, your voice has a sway
I gotta
in
bomb me.
the regulating of your state, of your boroughs.
Now over to the campaign trail, where Democratic Socialist candidate Zohran Mamdani addressed voters at this polling site in Astoria, Queens, Tuesday morning, reiterating his vision for New York City.
It is time to finally respond with the urgency that New Yorkers deserve. An urgency that reckons with these same New Yorkers having had to face rent hike after rent hike, year after year.
Independent candidate Andrew Cuomo reminding voters why he believes this election is important.
The record turnout is a good sign. I think it's going to be a record. And it's because New Yorkers are concerned. New Yorkers are concerned about New York.
And Republican Curtis Sliwa appearing at a polling site on the Upper West Side.
I have the people's support, and hopefully by the time the ballots are counted tonight, when all is said and done, I'll be the next mayor of the city of New York.
This Queens resident says she will make her decision when she casts her ballot.
It's a hard decision to make to vote for.
Yeah. Okay, so you're still a little...
I'm still a bit undecided, but I'm going anyway, so I'll make up my mind.
All right, so you have voters like her who are still...
That's crazy. Bro, undecided until the very last moment. Amazing. Anyway, jokey board, Chermaya. God damn, Chermaya, thank you for the 100 bones. Not a real fan, did not get halal tonight. No, I got banh mi tonight. I had halal yesterday.
Bit undecided now. The polls close tonight at 9 p.m. And keep in mind that as long as you're physically standing in line by that time, you are eligible to cast your ballot. We're live right now in Rego Park, Queens. Elijah Westbrook, CBS News, New York.
Hasan Reaction is one of the best ones in the React channel.